So today we're going to be talking about another trick that people don't think about, and that involves pinning. Now, this thing actually has where it's called the broadside from Relic Knights' Star Nebula Corsairs army. Now, the problem is it's a little cool hover cannon. However, the flight peg doesn't even actually exceed below the sides of it that far. I mean, other assembly issues I actually have is the gunner actually just floating there, 1 foot on the platform, but you know what, c'est la vie. So the solution is to actually take and put a metal rod in there. Now, the next thing though that people don't actually think about is lining it up onto your base. Now, in this case, it's actually a weird model because you have two separate models that sit on there. You actually have a spotter, as I'm going to call it, and then this thing itself. So it's plain and simple, line up at least the one model where you want it, and then take and initially plot out where you want the pin to go with the other model being on there. Then you actually take and drill in a hole that's actually snug for the rod, that way it holds in. So now once it's in place, we need to actually readjust the height to what we want. And yeah, it's like that's a little close to me. I want to actually give it an illusion that it's actually flying higher still like it was. The problem I have is I need to bend the rod, because right now that thing is not straight. But you know what, actually we're going to leave it alone, because not every hover vehicle needs to be flying straight. So next up, and this one's going to be a little interesting, is once you get to the actual height that you want, what you're going to do is you're going to get a set of snips. We're going to be cheating and seeing how well I can actually hold this. And just below the bottom there, you want to mark on the rod with your snips, or if your snips are not actually strong enough, just cut through. That way you have enough sticking through, but it's not going to actually poke into the surface of whatever the model sits on. So once it's actually snipped and you actually have it pushed up so it's not going to scrape the surface of whatever it is you put it on, I like to actually put a bit of super glue underneath and on top of the pin. So next up we're going to be adding a little bit of Woodland Scenic glue on the bottom of the base. When you go to do this, make sure to keep a little bit of water handy so you can actually dip your finger into it and you can actually press it around there. That way, hopefully this should prevent the pin from actually shifting any directions, and on top of that, it will also, if you don't have the pin nice and smooth, help cover it. That way it's got a better chance of not catching anything or anyone. And with that said, good to go. And the model actually looks like it's floating off the base instead of sitting on there because of the fact that their flight sim was too small. Y'all have a good one.